The stream real quick as I lay in bed. I got a little bit of a head cold right now, so that'll be the reason why my voice might sound a little weird. Um, First things first, the pinned comment is where you can go to join my channel. I've got exclusive content there. Another thing that I forgot, and this happened years ago. So last year, I deleted a lot of my content on YouTube for various reasons, mainly because I just had a cadre of old haters who were trying to get my stuff taken down. And so I felt in the best interest, I had to kind of take down a lot of old videos, so I did that. I forgot one of my listeners, really loyal supporter for years, his name's Matt. He actually compiled a lot of my old YouTube videos onto a Rumble page. So if you search The Soft Spoken Shaman on Rumble, a lot of my old videos will pop up. And I'm going to keep that up there. And I'm also going to start uploading, probably one video a day of those old videos back onto YouTube. Because they were good and they deserve to be back on YouTube. And I've gotten messages from people who are like, man, I was going to search something of yours and I can't find it anymore. And I have to tell them, yeah, dude, I deleted it because I had to, because I didn't want to lose the channel, yada, 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 all that stuff. So anyways, those videos will be back re-uploaded. In the meantime, you can go search them out on Rumble if you'd like. And that's a place to find them. All right, that being said, like I said, yeah, the pinned comment, check that out. Join the channel. Got some good content on there. I basically, all this channel is going to be now is basically pointing people to the channel membership so they can join over there and I can talk about the stuff I really want to talk about. Of course, the stuff that I talk about for free, I heavily censor and edit myself because I don't want to give people anything valuable for free. Who would in 2026? You don't do that. It's ridiculous. So anyways, I'm going to drink some of this because I need it very badly. So, that being said, I was taking a walk today, and it's known in my area that I take walks. I take long walks, and it's a little bit strange to people because everybody drives, and in the countryside, a lot of people are fat. They don't work out, they don't exercise. Me, my health comes before anything else. So I walk, at least 5 miles a day. I try to walk about 8 to 10 miles a day. And I just like that low impact exercise. I feel it benefits one's health, and it isn't going to destroy your body. So, as I've lived here, I've had people kind of give me the side eye like, oh, you poor little baby, you can't afford a car. And I'm looking at them like, I can afford a car. This isn't some sort of LARP as like a homeless person or something. It's just, I like exercise. And basically what I'm getting at is there is no tact in the United States for people who have wealth. There's very little tact. A lot of people are gross with their material things. They're not I don't know, what's the word for it? They're not demure about it. It's just garish and in your face and kind of disgusting, bestial, So anyways, I along my walk, there was an old guy, there's an old dairy barn that I walked past on my walk. And there's a camper out there, and I'd never seen anybody in it, but there was an old guy in a little motorized wheelchair. And he said, hey, come over here. And so I said, okay, what's going on, man? He said, huh? What? Apparently, he was hard of hearing. So I went over to the gentleman. I had to literally yell in his ear to talk to the guy. But he was saying, oh, yeah, you're Steve, right? I said, yeah, that's my name. He said, yeah, I heard about you. I heard from one of the neighbors you wouldn't let him lease your land to run cattle. And I said, man, business gets out far and wide, doesn't it? I said, I don't even know you, and you know about me. I laughed and I said, yeah, a lot of people have a hard time hearing the word no, especially in a small town. If you're not from there, they think that they're entitled and and you're supposed to do what they want you to do, and I don't do that. But anyways, got to talking to him. He was a nice guy. He was old curmudgeon, you know. He just wanted somebody to talk to. He was telling me about he's 81 years old. He's got 80 acres. He inherited that farm from his family, and the old home place burnt down. So he lives in a camper. He's got water and electric. He lives in a camper, and he was telling me the neighbor, whose name is Charlie, he owns a couple hundred acres. And his whole thing is trying to buy up any acreage around town, or around the area. And so he said, "Hey, Bill, I'll give you $400,000 cash for your 80 acres." And Bill said, I'll think about it. So anyways, Charlie came back and said, "Hey, Bill, I'm ready to give you that 400 grand. You ready to sign the paperwork?" And Bill said, "Nah, I'm backing out. I don't want to do that." And Charlie said, "You can't back out." And Bill said, "Well, I'm backing out right now. I don't have to. You're an asshole." And Bill was telling me, he said, this guy's been pressing him since he's on death's door. As I say, he's got one foot in the grave, another on a banana peel. He's a nice guy, but he's definitely at death's door. And he says the neighbor and his son are just pressing him to sell the family farm to them, because then they'd have a full square of land. A full square of land being about 640 acres. And he said he doesn't want to do it. And he said he's just going to be ornery about it. He's not going to do it because even though he could use the money, he said these people are just assholes. And he's just out of principle. As a man who's probably going to be dead soon, he's just like, nah, go to hell. And I was talking to him about this, about how a lot of people in the States who accrue wealth, they don't have any tact. They're not just kind people. They're a lot of people in the United States, they get money so that they can lord it over other people. They get money so they can lord it over other people, and they get money so they can basically be antisocial, be like rude and negative and mean and all this stuff. And I've seen that before, where people get money, and all of a sudden their behavior changes. They turn really rude and angry and miserly and mean. And I was talking to Bill. I said, "Man, your neighbor, Charlie, he reminds me of these people. They got all the money in the world. They got the land, they got assets, but they're miserable because all they're thinking about is defending all of it and getting more." And I said, what's the point of all that if you lose your peace of mind and you can't just relax? I mean, I told Bill, I said, "Well, Bill, I don't have a 640 acres, but I'll tell you, my brother, I'm outside. It's 60 degrees today. I'm getting sun. I feel good. I've walked 10 miles today. I'm about to go home, work on some stuff. I feel great. I don't need what that guy has." And that guy, he seems like he's got a lot of mental turmoil, and all that. And once again, if you guys are listening to this right now, apologize. It might be painful to listen to me. I got a little bit of a head cold right now, but I figure I'd tell this story. So you get this a lot in small towns, especially. It's all about, well, how much acreage you got, how many cattle you got, boy, and all this shit. And these people they don't stop to think that all they do is spend their time working themselves to the grave and counting their chips. Listen, I've been there before, and me, I kind of view myself as like a renunciate monk, a monk who happens to have some material possessions that I've earned. And so I see it from both sides. When you get a little bit of something, you want to hold on to it. I get it. But also, it's good to kind of forget that you have things and live as if you have nothing, so you're free as a bird. These people are constantly jockeying for power and status and, "Oh, I have that and you only have that." I mean, you're miserable. You're miserable. I mean, listen, I'm happier on my little 25-acre spread here than that motherfucker is on his 640 acres or whatever. And he's working all day. He's always on the tractor. He's always baling hay. He's always doing this. I mean, that's great if you sign up for that and you want that in life and nothing else. But for me, I am not trying to be an industrial farmer. I get it. If you inherit land and you're in that, it's in your blood as a family to be a multi-generational farmer, I understand that. But for me, that's not me. My dad is a tech guy. I grew up in the city of the suburbs and I moved out here. It is what it is. But I just see these people. There's no tact. It's like the Donald Trumpification, this garish sort of throwing around your wealth and trying to piss people off and trying to make them jealous. I never understood that, man. Like, why would you want to make people jealous? They're only going to try to come after what you have, you know? And at the end of the day, when is it ever enough? When is it ever enough? I've got 25 acres here, and I can feel it in myself. Oh boy, would it be great to have 100? Well, then you get 100. Oh, would it be great to have 600? It never ends. Same thing with money. Oh, you got $10,000. Well, wouldn't 100 grand be nice? Well, wouldn't 500 grand be nice? Wouldn't a million be nice? And it never ends. So you have to view this kernel in yourself, this ever striving, expansive drive. And you have to monitor it. You have to be conscious of it. You have to keep it in check and realize, okay, like, we're all striving for more, of course. But what you have right now is fine. You're alive. You can feed yourself. You can clothe yourself. You got shelter. If you get more in life, wonderful. And if you don't, wonderful. But there's these people who it's just a rapacious cupidity, voracious appetite for more. And I mean, listen, when you're hungry and you eat, you stuff yourself, be prepared for the eventual indigestion and the stomach ache. It's going to happen. It's the same thing with greed. When you have a rapacious greed, you have to prepare for the indigestion of your greed, for the acid reflux of your greed, and it's something people don't talk about. But a lot of these people are miserable, and I'm not saying that it's holy to be poor or whatever, but there's so many people, especially in the United States, who they just want more and more and more and more, and there's no end in sight. There's not even any reason. They just want to expand and have more just because of fear of death, a fear of being obliterated financially. Usually those are the two main reasons. Feeling like you may be obliterated financially and trying to stave off death. And those things can never happen. You might cheat death, or you might think you're cheating death, but, we all know who has the last laugh. So I just, I look at these people and I feel bad for them. I wouldn't want to condescend by saying I feel sympathy for them, but I feel bad for them because they don't realize how miserly their existence is and how they trap themselves into a box where they're just sad, they're miserable, they're unhappy. Are they really enjoying what they have, or is it this constant jockeying? Well, Bill down the road's got almost as much as me. That means I have to go buy more land now. God forbid. That's how these people think, and they're stupid. I mean, I don't want to say country people are stupid because they're not, but I will say a lot of country people are greedier than people in the city. Even I would say a lot of people may not understand this. They really are. In the city, they want stupid things. They might want a nice condo or an apartment or a villa in the countryside or whatever. But in the country, it is all about just like flexing, about your vehicle or your land or your animals or whatever. Or your inheritance, what family you come from. I mean, it is just unbelievable to see it. And people who are not from the country or people who haven't lived in the countryside before, they would never know this. They would never understand this. They're like, what are you talking about? Aren't they just like poor peasants? No, no, they're not. A lot of them, they got a chip on their shoulder. They're angry. They're not nice people. A lot of them are assholes. So before you go out wanting to buy land in the country, you should know the reality of country life is there are a lot of assholes out there in the countryside who are just as rapacious, just as greedy, just as rotten morally and ethically as people in the city. There's really no doubt about it. And so it's one thing people don't talk about. All they talk about is, oh, go buy land in the country and homestead and blah, 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 blah. They never talk about bad neighbors. They talk about bad neighbors in the sense of, your neighbor might be an asshole. Like they might shoot guns at 3 a.m. or whatever. But they don't talk about real assholes, which is the people who are so greedy. They're so concerned with keeping up with the Joneses. And keeping up with the Joneses is different in the country. Like I said, it's all about what you got. It's not about your 401k or your stocks or whatever, or your precious metals. It's all about what you got, meaning that tractor, that land, that creek, that house, that's what it is. It's really sad. It's really sad. And a lot of these people, they die feeling okay about it, about being a miser, being like a greedy piece of crap, because they try to have a child, like a son, to inherit, Go, oh, well, my greed is justified because my child can inherit it and then become a greedy miser and have a child. And then the cycle goes on and on and on and on. And these people, I mean, you'd be surprised how many people you meet in the country who are not nice people. They're assholes. They will snake you. Oh, they will snake you. They will put the ice hook in the back of your meat suit, between your shoulder blades. They will do everything they can to snake you. And the other thing that people don't talk about in the country is that if you're new, oh, there are many people going to want to try to take advantage of you. And here's the thing. You have a choice. You can either let them take advantage of you in the interest of being friendly or not rocking the boat, or you can say, fuck you, and say no, you know? But I guarantee you, you move to the country, you will be tested at least once by one of the local yokels, one of the neighbors, seeing if they can kind of edge it on you or pull one over on you or hustle you, right? It's how it goes in the country, and a lot of people don't understand this. They think, oh, your neighbor is Farmer Bill, and his wife Jody. All they do is sit on the porch all day, drink sweet tea, and watch the cows. Well, yeah, they might do that when they're not plotting and scheming to try to take what's yours. So don't for one second think there's so much homesteading prawn out there where people are like, oh, homesteading is the solution. Homesteading's great. It really is. But unless you can afford to own a damn town or own a couple thousand acres yourself, you're going to be around people. And when you're around people, it don't matter if you're in the suburbs, the city, the country, it is going to rub off on you. And you're going to have to deal with them and their BS. Well, where do you go to church? Oh, you don't go to church? Well, that's kind of weird, and all that crap. You're going to have to deal with it. And you're going to have to, I would say, don't move to the country. If you're from the city or the suburbs, do not move to the country unless you are perfectly firm in your own self. You're okay being by yourself. You don't need nobody, You're okay with that. If you move to the country thinking you're going to be friends with everybody, man, you are going to really experience something because it doesn't go that way. Maybe it does for some, but for most people, it doesn't go that way. If you're new, you're seen as an outsider. You're seen as potentially problematic, Now, where I am right now, I've been here, about 2.5 years, and I get along good with a lot of people, but there are some people who don't like me because I said no to them. Maybe they wanted to lease my land for cattle, and I said, the price isn't high enough. It's not worth my while. They get pissed, and they act entitled because, they were born here, they inherited land or whatever, and I always put my chest out and say, listen, I own this stuff outright. I worked for this. I bought it. I built it. You're not going to say anything to me. If you want to say anything more to me, this conversation's over. You can roll up, And that kind of nips that in the bud. The other thing, too, and I have fun doing this, go on the internet, and you could look up who took out PPP loans during COVID. And for anybody who wants to talk smack to me, I will look you up and see if you took out PPP loans during COVID. And I will either report you to the federal government or I'll put it in your face and say, you're a fucking debtor. You can't do it on your own. You're a loser, And I've said that to a couple of people out here in the country who had some words to say to me. And I said, man, I look you up. You took out this much money during COVID. You're a loser. You need the government's help. You're on welfare. You take farm subsidies from the government, too. I look all this stuff up. So I have ammunition just in case anybody says anything to me that is untoward, I guess you could say. So when I look their shit up, I see who took out PPP loans, who takes out farm subsidies from the federal government. I know, through, meeting people around here, I know who owns their livestock outright and who actually took out their livestock on a loan. And you might think that's silly, but I'll tell you, it happens a lot out here in Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri. There are people who literally buy cattle with a bank loan because the market's so high right now. They're thinking about flipping, and making some money that way, using leverage. They're idiots. I've met multiple people like this. They might have inherited land from their family. The tractor has got a payment on it, all the attachments the brush hog attachment, the front loader, the what's it called? Man, all the attachments they got loads on them. Everything's got a load on it. So don't be mistaken for 1 second. A lot of these people in the country, they want to act like they're a good old boy who everything's paid off in cash. A lot of them, that is not the case. A lot of them, they got a lot of debt. Even if they own their property outright because it was inherited from family, there's a lot of people in the country who are lying about their financial situation. And if you're new, they'll try to kind of see if they can pick on you a little bit, push you around. And the main thing, like what I do, is if I could tell you got a bad attitude, I cut to the quick right away and I tell them exactly, here's how much money you owe. You're a debtor, you're a loser. You can't say anything to me. You know what I mean? It's the funniest thing ever. But man, it is what it is. My neighbor's messaging me right now. But at the same time, I mean, in the countryside, man, and I got such a bad head cold right now. God, I don't. I really shouldn't even be talking right now. You got to understand though, all the stuff I talked about, all the negative stuff you might experience in the countryside, to balance that, you're also meeting some really cool people too. So most people know, I got hit by a drunk driver earlier in the year, messed up my totaled my truck. My other truck died on me, so I've been kind of in a shitty transportation situation for about a month and a half, and I I needed to buy a stove for a range for my house, and I'm like, man, I don't want to rent a U-Haul, I don't want to rent a truck, and my neighbor was kind enough to borrow her mom's farm truck and go down, drive about 15 miles with me last night and go pick up that oven and bring it to my house. She didn't have to do that, and I really appreciated that. And the cool thing is, things like that, when people do nice things like that, man, they get rewarded. For instance, so I went to that house to pick up the stove. Well, she also had a really nice microwave. And she said, hey, if you're taking the stove, I'm more than happy to give you this microwave. And, I didn't need a microwave, but I didn't say that. I just said, oh, thank you, I'll take it. And we got to my house and I said, hey, do you want the microwave? And she said, yeah, actually, my microwave doesn't even work. So I said, well, there you go. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, there's a lot of assholes and misers and really greedy people in the countryside who have no tact. But at the same time, you get some really salt of the earth, really good people. And those good people, when they do good things, they get rewarded. They really do. And I know that may sound like Hallmark BS to some people, but if you're really a stand-up person and you help people out, people will help you out. And I've seen that happen in my own life too, man. Like, some random person who needs some help, and I just happen to be there. I help them out, and then a couple months down the line, maybe I need some help, and I run into that person, and they help me out. So it's one of the things we don't talk about as much that we should really is in the U.S., man, people are so addicted to money. They're so addicted to money, and they'll throw their fellow man under the bus. Where sometimes the money is not what you want. You want connections with people, right? You want good relationships with people. You help that person, they help you. You know that you're trustworthy. They're trustworthy. I mean, I'll tell you, if I'm being honest with myself, when I make some money, it feels good, right? I mean, like for anybody, that feels good to get paid. But when you do something good for another person, they do something for you, and through that interaction that you're both trustworthy and you'll both help each other out, you both got each other's back, there's nothing better than that feeling. There's no amount of money can make up for that. And a lot of these greedy people, they try to make millions over millions over millions in order to evade that fact. They don't want to be close with people. They want to insulate themselves from people by making a bunch of money, whereas the truth is, money's fine and everything, but it's so much more satisfying to have close relationships with people where you help each other out, like a community, right? Without all the BS, campy sort of communist BS, but it does pay off, to help people and be helped. And it does create a tighter community, and it creates a better situation where people can trust each other. And man, I'm having a hard time talking right now, dude. I sound like shit. I sound like shit. I got snot all up in my nose, man. It feels like concrete. This snot in my nostrils feels like feels like freaking concrete. I gotta stop talking, guys. This is just I can't believe I've talked for 25 minutes. But anyways, you guys make sure to join the channel if you haven't already. That's gonna be the spot to get exclusive content. I'll be making more on there as soon as my voice gets a little bit better. You guys have a good night, and thesoftspokenshaman@gmail.com is the place to hit me up. And like I said, you can search my name, The Soft Spoken Shaman, on Rumble, and you'll find a lot of my old YouTube videos on there, which I will over time be re-uploading onto YouTube.